Yes.
It's a good dramatic pause.
Hello, my name is Tiscornia, and up until March of this year, I was your typical 8th grader. I loved horseback riding, eventing to be more specific, skiing, and spending times with friends and family. Then it all changed. I went to the doctor to have a large bump on my thigh checked out. I was told what I thought was a bad bruise had a high probability of being cancer. After many tests, 2 biopsy surgeries for my lung and my leg, and a stressful couple of weeks, I was diagnosed with a rare form of bone cancer, known as Ewing sarcoma. There are approximately 250 cases diagnosed a year in the U.S. My treatment included 14 rounds of chemotherapy, during which I was hospitalized for 2 to 5 days in a row for each round. I've undergone surgery to remove the tumor and replace my femur with 5 inches of titanium and a new hip ball. I can now call myself the Titanium Girl. I've had multiple MRIs, CT scans, PET scans, and x-rays. I have also had multiple blood transfusions and been poked so many times that I can't remember how many. I've used a wheelchair, walker, crutches, and now a cane. I was also in a back and leg brace to set my hip, 7 weeks straight, 24 hours a day. I'm honored tonight to be here speaking in front of all of you. Honored because without all the amazing professionals at Seattle Children's and generous donators that are here tonight, I may not have had the opportunity to be standing here. I'm here tonight because of cancer research. It was in the 1920s, research performed by James Ewing, a pathologist, discovered my type of cancer. Since his discovery, it was research that determined I would get 5 different types of chemotherapy drugs taken every 2 weeks for 30 weeks. It was research that determined certain of my chemo drugs would be administered in 5 doses every 20 hours. It was research that determined that I would take a special drug to protect my liver from the chemo. It was research that determined my tumor would be removed at week 12, and it was research again that determined after taking out my tumor, I would still receive 18 more weeks of chemo. I'm just one of a big group. We're the cancer kids at Seattle Children's. I wish all of you could meet us, but Seattle Children's is a hard place just to walk into. When we are in clinic, we hang out at the Hematology, Oncology, and Blood Disorders Clinic in the mountain area on the 8th floor of the hospital. We're greeted by Sarah's beautiful smile every time we come in for an appointment. She knows us each by name, but I have no idea how she remembers us. We range from the tiniest of babies to all of us teenagers. We speak many different languages and come from many different places. Most of us have feeding tubes. It's hard to keep weight on when you're taking chemo. Some of us are in wheelchairs. We all have different types of cancer, but we are united by our bald heads. We gather on the 8th floor for blood tests, doctor's appointments, chemotherapy, and blood transfusions. Our nurses are the best. They know us each by name as well. When we are inpatient, you can find us cancer kids in Building Hope on the 7th and 8th floor. I took most of my chemo there. My chemo drugs were given in multiple doses, so I had to spend many a night in the hospital. The nurses there work hard and are amazing as well. During nighttime rounds, I had the same doctor each time. He would tell me a joke and then tell me, "Kat, let's keep it boring tonight." It turns out when you're in the hospital, the best thing you can be is boring. says it isn't right to just call us kids. We are really warriors. Our surgeries and treatments that we undergo are long, hard, and grueling. I don't know if we are warriors, but I do know we are strong. One of my favorite quotes is, "You don't know how strong you are till being strong is your only option." Some days we cry a lot. I've definitely done my fair share. But we battle our way through each and every day. I spent a lot of my time on the 8th floor in Building Hope. One of the children there had just received a bone marrow transplant during one of my earlier chemo stays. My dad would see her mom as we came back again and again every 2 weeks for chemo. At our last chemo stay, that girl had been in the hospital for 112 days straight. We lost track of when she was finally discharged. An amazing warrior with amazing strength, but one that few people got to see. I guess the one thing that we all at Seattle Children's have in common, besides our bald heads, is that we are unlucky and lucky at the same time. Unlucky that we all have diseases such as cancer, which some of us had no chance of preventing. Some of us were born with our diseases, and some of us have gotten sick along the way. Sometimes even the doctors can't tell us why we are so sick. We haven't had the chance to smoke too much or exercise too little. We're just kids. But we're lucky that we have Seattle Children's to give us hope for the future. I'm also lucky that I am surrounded by an amazing family. When I was first diagnosed, family members called all over the U.S. to different hospitals, determining where I should get my chemo treatment. And since my cancer was bone-related, who should do the surgery to remove it? We are ready to pack our bags. But time and time again, we heard the same response. If not for Dr. Hawkins, I would have you come here for treatment. And why would you go anywhere else for surgery when you have Dr. Conrad in your backyard? Little did we know that Dr. Hawkins is the leading oncologist for sarcomas in the U.S., and Dr. Conrad is quite possibly the best orthopedic surgeon for removing bone tumors and rebuilding bones. Both of them are at Seattle Children's, not to mention all the other amazing doctors and staff. Each cancer kid at Seattle Children's gets assigned a full team. My team included my primary oncologist, Dr. Hawkins, my primary orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Conrad, multiple nurses, a pharmacist, a social worker, and a physical therapist. I will never forget the day I first met Dr. Hawkins. He had to deliver the worst news that I've ever gotten in my life. With compassion, patience, and honesty, he told me what I was facing and about the journey I was to embark on. I was scared, but I never felt hopeless. He had a plan for me, and I trusted him. When I first met Dr. Conrad, or Chappie as they call him at the hospital, he drew a picture for me. Right there on the examination table paper, he drew what he would do to my leg. He sat beside me with his arm around my shoulder and explained his plan in detail. I trusted him as well. Sue Elling, a nurse practitioner, was the one person who I saw the most. She cared for me each and every week. She listened to me, picked me up when I was feeling down, and talked me through each round of chemo and the surgery. She treats all of her patients with such caring and compassion, but I knew we had something extra special. I wish I had the next hour to talk about everyone at Seattle Children's who's impacted me. From my doctors to the nurses and all the way down to the endless volunteers. Thank you. For my 15th birthday this fall, my godmother gave me a necklace with a simple heart and the word hope engraved on it. I'm wearing it tonight. She also gave one to each of my younger sisters. The dictionary defines the word hope as a feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen. But hope is such a great word because it can mean things so different to each person. To my littlest sister, hope means that my mom packs a treat in her lunchbox. To my middle sister, hope means that I never get sick again. She missed her big sister. To me, hope means that as each day passes and new kids walk into the cancer clinic on the 8th floor, that treatments become shorter, chemo drugs become more effective, success rates increase, and side effects become lessened. People always ask me if I know why I got cancer. Last year we had a speaker come from Africa. He was living in Rwanda, running an orphanage. When the genocide in Rwanda occurred, the U.S. government told all the U.S. citizens to vacate Rwanda. However, he sent his family home, but made his decision to stay and help the orphans as well as hide villagers in his home. I was really moved that day. I decided that someday I would like to make a difference just like him. Little did I know that that day would come so soon. I've spent a lot of time thinking about why cancer happened to me. I didn't do anything wrong to deserve it. Ultimately, the only answer that makes any sense is so that I can make a difference for other kids who are so sick. To make my struggle worthwhile, I created Cat's Crew, a fundraising site to raise money for bone cancer research. I'm happy to report that because of the incredible generosity of my friends and family, we have raised a lot of money. Hopefully, someday, Seattle Children's will be a memory for me. A line from one of my favorite songs is "Every storm runs out of rain." I hope my storm is ending, but I'll never forget all the kids there. I've been at the hospital for too long to completely erase it from my memory, and I don't want to. I can't promise that I will grow up and become an oncologist. Sorry, Dr. Abby. But I can and I will promise you this. I'm not done. In fact, I'm just getting started. I hope that all of you will continue to join me on this journey because together we are and we can make a difference. And one day, when we ultimately find a cure, we will take the Hematology, Oncology, and Blood Disorders Center on the 8th floor at Seattle Children's and turn it into yet another Starbucks. On behalf of all of us cancer kids, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you.